Welcome to the Essentials of Inorganic Chemistry. I am your friend Dr. B.D. Bhatt, presently discussing a chapter entitled Symmetry. This is the ninth talk in the series, and today I am going to discuss some very important topics. I will define and explain you the concept of conjugate elements and class. This is the entry to the group theory. So first of all, let us take the definition of the term conjugate elements. Elements A and B of a group are said to be conjugate if there is a relation A is equal to X inverse Bx, where X is yet another element of the same group. Now the transformation A is equal to X inverse Bx is known as similarity transformation. If A and B are conjugate elements, you know that A is equal to X inverse Bx. If we multiply left hand of the equation by X and right hand of the equation by X inverse on both the sides, then the above equation will become X Ax inverse is equal to Xx inverse Bxx inverse. Now we know that always Xx inverse is equal to E, because X inverse is the reverse operation. So if you perform any operation and then you reverse it, then the resultant change will always be nothing, that is identity. So when we put Xx inverse is equal to E, the relation becomes Xax inverse is equal to B, which means that the conjugate property is mutual. In other words, if A is conjugate of B, then B is conjugate of A. Now let us introduce the concept of class. Complete set of elements like A, B, C, etc. of a group which are mutually conjugate is called a class. Every class can be completely determined from any one of its element, which means that if you know one element of a class, then you can derive the remaining elements. Now the group C3V has 6 operations and they are divided into 3 classes. Friends, in the previous lectures, we have already identified the elements of symmetry in C3V point group. We took the example of ammonia molecule, and then we found that the elements are the identity element, which is must in all the groups. Then you have 2 rotational elements, that is C3 and C3 square, and the 3 vertical planes named as sigma VA, sigma VB and sigma VC are the reflection elements. So in this C3V you will find that there are 3 classes. The first one is a class which contains only one element, that is E. The second one is a class which contains 2 rotational axis elements, that is C3 and C3 square. And the third one is a class containing the planes of reflection sigma VA, sigma VB and sigma VC. If you refer to the previous lecture, you will realize that this follows the Lagrange's theorem. Now we can show that C3 and C3 square are conjugates of each other. How we will do it is we will substitute different elements in the position of X in this general equation X inverse Bx, and then find out what is the outcome. So let us begin over here. See, there are general rules of a class, or rather similarity transformation, that we will be studying during the process. Look at the first equation. You have C3 in place of B. In all these equations, we will put C3 in place of B, we will keep it constant, whereas one by one we will change the x. So first we will put x is equal to E, and therefore x inverse becomes E inverse. So the equation becomes E inverse C3E. Now you know that inverse of identity, E stands for identity, and identity means doing nothing, and inverse means reversing it. You do nothing and you reverse it, means you do nothing again. So E inverse is always equal to E. Therefore this equation is equal to E C3E. Now you know that the operation E means doing nothing, and therefore whenever you multiply E by any element other than E, then the result is always going to be the other element. So EC3 or EC3E is going to be equal to C3. All the time remember that whenever you put E in the position of X in your similarity transformation equation, you will see that the result is going to be the B itself. Here you have B is equal to C3. That is why E has its own class, it does not belong to any other class, and in its class, in the class of E, there is no other element. Let us have a look at the second equation. This time in place of x we are putting C3. So x inverse is equal to C3 inverse, and then you have C3 and then again C3. Now you know C3 inverse means, C3 means a rotation of 120 degree in clockwise, whereas C3 inverse means a rotation of 120 degree in anti-clockwise direction. Therefore, you know, a rotation of 120 degree in anti-clockwise direction is equal to a rotation of 240 degree in clockwise direction. So in place of C3 inverse, I am going to put C3 square. C3 square is 240 degree. The remaining terms are kept same. Now remember friends, that whenever you are having this type of operations, the direction of operation is going to be this, from right to left. So first you have to operate this, then this, and then this. So here you will see that C3 terms they commute with each other, therefore it is not going to make any difference. When they commute, it means that AB is equal to BA. So it doesn't make any difference that in which direction you go. But if the elements do not commute, then AB and BA are different, and in that case you have to go from right to left, not from left to right, right to left. So this you will see that C3 square C3 is equal to C3 raised to 4. Now you know that Cn raised to n is always equal to E. So C3 raised to 3 is equal to E. So if I take out C3 raised to 3 from this, then I will be left with only one C3. So that is the result. So this case is going to explain us that an element is always conjugate of itself. So if you put B is equal to C3 and X is also equal to C3, then you will also always find that the result is equal to C3. Every element is conjugate of itself. The third equation. Now I am putting X is equal to C3 square. So C3 square inverse C3 into C3 square. Now C3 square inverse means, C3 square means a rotation of 240 degree in clockwise. Therefore C3 square inverse means a rotation of 240 degree in anti-clockwise direction. A rotation of 240 degree in anti-clockwise direction is equal to a rotation of 120 degree in clockwise direction, and that is called C3. So in place of C3 square inverse, I will put C3. So now you have C3, C3 and C3 square, that is equal to C3 into C3 cube. But you know that C3 cube is always equal to E. Therefore the result is C3. Now let us put x is equal to sigma VA. Now we are putting the planes of reflection one by one. So the equation becomes sigma VA inverse C3 sigma VA. Here also you have to learn one very important thing, that the inverse of reflection operation is the reflection operation itself. The inverse and the actual both are always same. So in place of sigma VA inverse, I will now put sigma VA, and I will refer the multiplication table in which I will find out the value for sigma VA into C3. So let us go to the multiplication table. Sigma VA is the first operation multiplied by C3. So this is the value sigma VC. So in place of sigma VA into C3, I am putting sigma VC. Now I have sigma VA into sigma VC, but the direction is right to left. So I will see sigma VC into sigma VA. This is sigma VC multiplied by sigma VA, and that is equal to C3 square. So you can see the value is C3 square. Similarly, now when I put x is equal to sigma VB inverse, then again we will apply the same thing, that inverse of sigma VB is equal to sigma VB itself. Therefore you have sigma VB here, and then I will find out sigma VB multiplied by C3. So that I will go to the table again, sigma VB multiplied by C3, that is equal to sigma VA. So I am putting sigma VA over here. Now again I will go right to left, sigma VA into sigma VB, and that is equal to C3 square, that you can see in the table. Similarly, the last element sigma VC inverse. Again I will reiterate that inverse of reflection is the reflection itself, and then you will also see that sigma VC into C3 is equal to sigma VC into C3 is equal to sigma VB. So I am putting sigma VB over here and sigma VC over here, and then I will find out the result of sigma VB into sigma VC. This is sigma VB, and I go to sigma VC, that is again C3 square. So all the time you found that the result is C3 square. This proves that C3 and C3 square are conjugates of each other. Now during the process you did many new conceptual things, so I am going to list them out and remind it to you once again. Every element is a conjugate of itself, that we saw in the case of C3. When we put x is equal to C3 and b is equal to C3, then you will see that the result is always equal to C3. Then the other thing is, if a is conjugate of b, then b is also conjugate of a. This also we studied while taking while multiplying the left hand side and right hand side of the equations, and then deriving that if a is conjugate of b, then b is also conjugate of a. The third and very important thing is that if you have two elements, say a and x, and they commute, then you know a multiplied by x is equal to x multiplied by a. In that case you will see that a inverse xa can simply be written as a inverse ax. In place of xa, if they commute, you can write ax, and then straight away you can say that a inverse a is equal to e. Therefore this equals to x. The fourth important point is e is not conjugate of any other element but itself. It is conjugate of itself only. Therefore it will have its own class. No other elements will be there in the class that contains e. And the fifth and an important point is inverse of reflection is reflection itself. That is, sigma VA inverse is always equal to sigma VA. That is just an example. In all the cases you will find that the inverse of reflection is the reflection itself. So I think this is enough for the day, and we will meet again. Till then, thank you and goodbye.